I want to welcome people to stage with an ELM, telling me. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. How's that? Better? That's as loud as it will go. How's that? All right. I want to make sure everybody can hear. So, first of all, thank you, everybody. This is probably one of the best attended meetings I've been at since the last 5 years. So, I appreciate everybody being here. So, kind of a different opportunity being in front of folks on this end of things. So, I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk about next steps, where we are, all that stuff that's going on with this withdrawal. Grateful to see a lot of people that I recognize. A lot of our partners are here. Federal, state, local government officials. It's nice to be able to have all the support that we have and move this forward. So, for those of you guys that don't know me, I am Nick Pay. I am the field manager for the Pahrump field office. My field office is basically the southern end of the Pahrump field office. And then also with me, I have Whitney, who's in the back getting answers for everybody. Whitney is my assistant field manager, so you get both of us today. All of our other staff are doing other things, so we're doing this one ourselves. So we'll see how this goes. So tonight's meeting is a little different than what we're normally used to. So we're at the very beginning of this withdrawal process, and tonight's meeting is just simply an opportunity for us to hear directly from you guys. So my presentation is probably going to be super short. I know a lot of people have a lot of things to say, and so there will be an opportunity for you guys to comment. We're not going to be doing a question and answer session, really, because I probably have. Mike's trying to kill us all. Is that better, Mike?
You hear it now?
Is that sounding better for those of you guys in the back? Awesome. Hopefully we get through the squealing. Tonight, like I said, tonight's opportunity is more to hear from you guys. We all know how important this valley is, so we'll be able to hear that from you guys. The other thing that we're doing is there is an email address that we've set up specifically for this effort. Many of you guys are members of that. That's how we've been sending out most of the information. Anything that's new has come through that email address and getting sent by myself. We are accepting comments officially until April 15th. But reality is that there will be several opportunities given throughout this process to get more input from everybody. The biggest thing for us right now is we're honestly seeking more information about what's out here, what warrants protection, what are some of the other uses that are out there, and how do we put together a report of how the valley is being used and what resources we have out there that are warranting this level of effort. This is the bureaucrat in me. I have to say this one. Just be careful when you're giving us your comments, especially anything that includes your address, your phone number, your email. We can try to hold that stuff private if you ask for it, but it's not always possible. So just because we are a public agency and most of our stuff is subject to FOIA, so there are opportunities for people to get out there. So be really careful about sharing identifiable information. Also, if you're representing a business or an organization, individuals from those can't comment anonymously. We need to know who you are and who you're representing. The other thing that I will ask is that if there are members of the media here tonight, can you please come see me afterwards so we can get your name and contact information so they can get that to my public affairs officer. So now that part's over. Let's talk about the process. Unfortunately, it's not as bright as I was hoping it was going to be, but so the withdrawal process is complicated, right? Not unlike everything that we do in the federal government. But I am not actually the decision maker for a withdrawal. So my part in this process is I am here to gather information and make a recommendation to the Secretary of Interior. So the way this goes is we already have permission. We got the notice in the Federal Register, which allowed us to have this meeting and begin the process of considering this withdrawal. The next step in this is there will be a series of reports and an environmental assessment that are put together, and then we present the state director with our findings of this process. And then from there it goes to our headquarters, who then goes to the Assistant Secretary for Lands and Minerals at the Secretary of Interior. And then that Assistant Secretary is the one that actually makes the determination on whether to establish or to complete the public land order that would then withdraw it for the 20-year term. So all that to say, we're early in the process and we're in that information gathering stage so that we can put together those reports. So the area that we're looking at, obviously most of you guys are pretty aware of this, is approximately from just the other side of Big Dune to about State Route 160. We have some better maps around here, have some better information around as well. After this meeting is over too, we'll also provide this. We could send this out as an email with the information on it. It is entirely located in Nye County, and it is about 90 miles northwest of Las Vegas, east of Death Valley National Park, and it is approximately 308,900 acres. There are approximately 791 active mining claims within this area. That will be kind of important for one of the next conversations. So, for ease of getting this through really quick, we just drew a big box. So within that box, you see there's also U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service managed lands for the Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge. We also have the 40-acre parcel for the National Park Service that manages Devil's Hole. And then in addition to that, there are 177 acres of state land, and then 48,567 acres of private lands. One really important thing to note here is that this withdrawal only applies to federally managed lands. It doesn't apply to private lands. Also included in that area are we have 3 ACECs, or areas of critical environmental concern, that BLM manages. For Amargosa mesquite trees, Ash Meadows, which is a box around Ash Meadows that contains the rest of the critical habitat that's not included in the refuge, and then the Big Dune ACEC for the Big Dune beetles. All 3 of those ACECs have already gone through this process, so they're already withdrawn. And that is kind of the list of those with the technical jargon. So Public Land Orders 7737 withdrew those ACECs back in 2009. And the expiration date for that would be October 30th, 2029. So that's coming up on that. Part of the other reason why we have an overlapping ACEC, or overlapping withdrawal in this case. Also included in that area is the Public Land Order 7755, which is actually the withdrawal for the Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge. And that one is effective through December 13th, 2030. So talk a little bit more about the process. Like I said, currently we're in that review process for the proposed withdrawal. Publication of the notice proposed withdrawal in the Federal Register begins that temporary segregation. So that is already in place. That segregation went active the day that it published in the Federal Register, and it will be active for 2 years. Essentially what that means is that the lands that are in there are no longer available for location and entry under the mining laws for hard rock mining like gold and silver, nor under the Mineral Leasing Act and geothermal laws for minerals like phosphate, lithium, that kind of stuff. Existing mining claims are subject to valid existing rights. So those existing claims out there, they still have that legal right that comes with having a claim. And then the land would remain open even after if we get through the withdrawal, it would remain open to the sale of mineral materials, which is things like sand and gravel, which we all need in our normal day-to-day basis. So make sure that we didn't withdraw from that. So the withdrawal review process is, once we do this data collection, it'll go through a very similar environmental review. So we still have to do an environmental assessment, and we provide all of that information in a findings document and so that the state director can make a determination and pass that on to the assistant secretary. If then if the decision is made to withdraw the lands, then there will be a public land order that is issued. And new mining claims or mineral leases would be prohibited from that point on for the term of whatever is in that decision. Again, that would be subject to existing mining claims would be subject to the validity exam to determine whether those rights are valid. So like I noted earlier, within the proposed area, there are 791 active mining claims. This means that those claims have been submitted, adjudicated, and recorded by the BLM and the respective county where they're located. Those that aren't real familiar, there's a two-step process, or three-step process actually, for establishing mining claims, and they have to be recorded both at the BLM state office in Reno and in the county in which they are located. So the county recorder's office also has a mining claim database that they maintain too. So there is one active mining operation within the proposed boundary, and that is Lost North America's clay operations. They have been operating on their private property since the 1950s and probably earlier. Other mineral activity in the area has included exploration proposals and additional mining claims staking probably over the last decade or so. So the primary stakeholders that we have is obviously the BLM. Big shout out to our other partners with the National Park Service and the Fish and Wildlife Service, where we've had a lot of support from them for this whole process, so I appreciate that. Also out there we have the Lost North America and their current operator. We also have the rest of the mine claimants, and we do have all of their contact information, or in the process of making contact with all of those claimants. And then obviously the town of Amargosa. I've been out here several times talking about this process and excited to be able to see where this is going. This is an ever-growing list, just so you know the level of people that are interested. A couple months ago, we set up the project-specific email for this, and so we have been tracking everybody. We do have active email addresses for everybody that has requested to be on that mailing list. The other people that we have added to that mailing list is anybody that has submitted an email to me where I have their name and their email address. We will make sure that you remain on that mailing list as well, and you'll get all the information as it comes out. We have received letters of support for this withdrawal from federal, state, and county officials and tribes, including the entirety of the state of Nevada's congressional delegation, the Nye County Board of County Commissioners, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, National Park Service, the Timbisha-Shoshone Tribe, and then a whole host of interested parties, non-governmental organizations, town boards, wilderness societies have all expressed their support for this. I'll be honest, this is the first time a coalition like this in my career has ever been all on the same page, so it's kind of cool. Especially when at least me as a person is understand where you're all coming from. So next steps. This is where we're at. So we're looking at that public comment period that will go through April, mid-April. We have the 2-year segregation in place, and that 2-year segregation is in place so that we can do all the environmental work, all the studies, all the stuff that we need, and conduct that NEPA review. So those are the big next steps. So tonight, like I said, mainly we wanted to be here to hear from you. So with that, when Whitney has a chance to come up and she can start our recording. And she also has the list of folks that wanted to comment, so we have those in order. So.
Yeah, does anybody else want to find a verbal comment tonight? Yes.
Sorry, we're going at this with a little bit of an organized fashion so that we can make sure that we get to everybody. While she's getting more contacts for folks that need or want to be able to comment tonight, just a few things of what we're looking for, right? We love that you're all here to support this. What we're really looking for at this point is information. We need to know what kind of data is out there that we need to make sure that we incorporate into this. Who are the missing people that we have that probably need to be at the table that currently are not? And any other input that we'd like to have from that would be helpful. Some of these other rules that we have on there are usually for our other public meetings, so hopefully don't have to go too much on this. We probably only have time for one comment per person just because there are so many people here tonight. And we are limiting it to about 2 minutes. So we'll have to stick pretty close to that because I can see the stack of comments that Whitney has in her hand. So we're going to have a need to be able to hear from everybody. We need to stick to that time. Also, please be respectful. I know it can be a little hard to hear, so kind of try to keep the chatter to the minimum so we make sure that we can hear everything. We are also recording this so that we can make sure that we capture everybody's comments. We're going to turn the podium around so you can talk to me. I'm going to be actually taking notes up here at the table, but I'm a really slow writer, and so that's why we're recording them. We're also going to be able to use some of the live streams that are going on that are being recorded as well. So please refrain from profanity. I don't think anybody wants that out on the internet for forever. So, and with that, I'm actually going to go to the next one. I'm going to leave this one up here. Those are all the other ways to comment. That's the email address that I was referencing earlier, and the mailing address. You can send stuff directly to me. Please, on your envelope, make sure that it says Amargosa Withdrawal so that they make sure that it actually gets to me in a timely manner.
We also have
with that, I'm going to turn the podium around and we can get started.
Anybody have their slips filled out on this? Our first commenter we have is John Hyatt.
Okay, that's fine.
There's two of us today. Okay, so we will have 2 minutes and I'll give you some.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and speak on what I think is a really important issue. My name is John Hyatt. I live in Las Vegas, but I've been involved in this area for a long time. I was involved with Dave Livermore in the Nature Conservancy in getting Ash Meadows designated as a National Wildlife Refuge back in the 1980s. And I've developed a real love for the area. The threat then was groundwater use or diversion, and the threat today indirectly is still groundwater usage. We've been talking about rover metals and their exploration for minerals and their drilling, which could endanger groundwater, but mining, if it ever happened, would do even more to endanger groundwater. Any significant mining operation, open pit nature, will definitely impact groundwater and will impact ash meadows. The situation here is very complicated in terms of where water comes from. When they did the Yucca Mountain work, they found out a lot about it. We've got a carbonated aquifer coming out of central and eastern Nevada with water flowing to the southwest, and any kind of interruption of that will have an impact on ash meadows. And this area, which has one of the most diverse floras and faunas in the country, especially with regard to endemic species, would be irreparably damaged by this, any kind of drilling, additional drilling or pumping of groundwater here. So it's really important to consider what we're going to lose if we proceed with mineral development in this area. And that's why everybody is really looking for a mineral withdrawal, so we just kind of stop the process and get along with what we've got right now in terms of mineral use, and not do anything further to endanger an irreplaceable natural resource, specifically ash meadows. Thank you.
Okay, next is Heather Gay.
Hi, I'm Heather Gang. I live in Pahrump, but I raised my children coming out to Ash Meadows 30 years ago, and I've always gone out to Ash Meadows. It's a beautiful place, and I'm really glad you guys are seriously considering this mineral withdrawal, and I just wanted to say I support it, and I agree with everything Mr. Hyatt said, and I think that the Death Valley Regional Flow System aquifer is unique and very valuable thing. That water is at least 10,000 years old. It's flowed all the way from eastern Nevada, possibly, and it's not only going to endanger Ash Meadows if the water is withdrawn, it'll also endanger Death Valley Springs. And so, yeah, I adamantly am in favor of this mineral withdrawal. Thank you.
Next we have Claudia Oker.
Good evening. My name is Claudia Belger. I live in the far northwest section of Amargosa Valley. I lived there for about 13 years when my husband and I moved out here to retire and build our home. I'm going to say something that's probably going to get me carried out on a rail here if you don't give me a chance to finish. Okay? I am probably one of the few people in this valley who could potentially benefit from mining in Amargosa Valley, and let me explain to you why. Because of where I live, my well casing is 250 feet deep. My well pump is 170 feet deep. The water in my well is 100 feet deep. If the aquifer drops 40 feet, I'm still going to have a lot of water to pump. I'm far enough away from any potential mining site that my water will become out nice and clean before it gets potentially contaminated by mining contaminants. Secondly, the other next point is that in addition to having a good well, I have a 1,900 square foot stick-built house on about 100 acre lot or 10 acre lot. That would be the perfect home for someone coming out here to manage a mine. But I am adamantly against any kind of mining here. I'm adamantly against it because of the damage it will do to my neighbors. I don't want to see my neighbors have to put out tens of thousands of dollars to drill deeper wells. I don't want to see my neighbors lose their property value because they're too close to a mine. I don't want to see my neighbors have to pack up and move. I'm also a conservationist at heart. I want Ash Meadows and the beauty of Amargosa Valley to be here for my children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and their grandchildren to enjoy in 100 years. I am 100% against any kind of mineral extraction in Amargosa Valley for not only just the next 20 years, for the next century, forever. Thank you.
Okay, next is Kevin Emmerich.
Hello, thank you. My name is Kevin Emmerich, and my organization is Basin and Range Watch. And we definitely do support this mineral withdrawal. In fact, we wish it were a little bigger because we've seen some brand new mining claims pop up on the east side of Highway 95, not far from the Big Dune. There's quite a few of them out there. But I think this is really a good idea. It's really a good step in the right direction, and it does really need to happen. What worries me, however, if this happened, we still have enough mining claims for lithium near Ash Meadows to where using that outdated 1872 mining law, they could still pursue a mining operation out there. And if that were to happen, they would have to build an open pit, as I understand, and they would have to take the groundwater out, and they call that dewatering, and that would lower the water table. And if that lowers the water table, let's face it, the people who have wells here, they're not going to be able to stay here. And it's a death sentence for all these endemic species in Ash Meadows. So I think it's really important to work with state agencies, other agencies, local communities, to try to restrict any kind of access that could allow that type of activity to happen anywhere near Ash Meadows. And so, thank you.
Next we have Vernon Lee.
Good evening. I wasn't sure that I had signed up to talk, but I guess here I am. But anyway, I didn't go over nothing in my mind, but you know, I had a little bit of comfort when Mr. Pay said that there were so many people that had signed on to have this sealed up so the mining couldn't happen, if I understood you correctly. The scary part is that politically we don't know what's going to happen. I almost have to cross into the politics because, you know, Musk sells electric cars, and I think lithium is the main ingredient for batteries. So if if you consider that, it's scary. I'm hoping that nothing happens. I mean, water's so crucial. You know, they send probes and out into space to look for Earth-like planets, and the first thing they look for is water. And the second thing is pollution, because if they figure there's sophisticated life, they're going to be polluting, which is a sad lesson for us. But they do look for water. Water's so crucial, you know, it's basically life itself. You can't have life without water. It's part of the building blocks of, you know, the primordial soup, what they say it came from. Who knows? But I would really hope that, and everybody in this room understands water, the value of water, you know, the wells, the pollution of water. I just hope nothing happens, or at least the mining is stopped. And that's got to be stopped in a lot of places. You know, they're fracking and poisoning water across the whole country. But here in this valley, it's, you know, we're in the middle of the desert, and it's really, really critical. Thank you.
Claire Watkins.
Hello, my name is Claire Watkins. Thank you for being here and listening today. I grew up on the Amargosa River down in Tecopa and in Pahrump, and I played volleyball in this gym as a kid. And as I see it, this river kept me alive, and I think we should repay the favor. Not to mention, I think it's really, really morally wrong to extinct species. Extinction is not just a regular type of loss, it's really forever. And it hurts all of us to do that to the planet that is keeping us. In these communities, Amargosa Valley has already really borne more than its fair share of environmental injustice, which we could start counting that wherever, but I would start with the over 1,000 nuclear bombs detonated just up the road. So enough is enough. And I don't think this community should be asked to bear this burden, and nor should any of the plants and animals and the water itself. So, thank you.
Doreen Nelson. Doreen Nelson. Okay, I'll save this one to the end too. Bertha Gutierrez.
Thank you. My name is Berta Gutierrez. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I am representing the Conservation Lands Foundation. First of all, I wanted to thank you all for holding this meeting. We know that we have seen other meetings get canceled for other initiatives, you know, with the Bureau of Land Management, so we really appreciate you being here and listening to the local community and their love and importance of this area to them. We are in full support of a mineral withdrawal. It's clear that the water that this valley holds is important to all life that is in this valley and beyond it. That is animal life, plant life, and human life, which can be, you know, just as fragile as so many of those little special species around here. We appreciate that we are putting the importance on these Bureau of Land Management lands that are surrounding these special places like Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge and Death Valley National Park. And we know that these places, that these extra lands, these surrounding lands are just as important and in really preserving the treasure that those already protected places are. So we appreciate, again, you being here, and we hope to see this mineral withdrawal go through as much as the community wants it to. Thank you.
Chance Wilcox.
Good evening. My name is Chance Wilcox. I represent the National Parks Conservation Association. I'm based out of Palm Springs as the California Desert Program Manager, which means that I work hard to defend, protect, and advocate for parks like Death Valley. First, I really want to thank the Amargosa Valley Town Board, the Beatty Town Board, and the Nye County Board of Supervisors for their presence and leadership on this. It truly proves that all of you care immensely about this issue and your livelihoods. I think that a lot of people in this room are thinking about America first right now. It means that we protect our nationally held assets. That means we protect our water and our land. We protect our parks, our people, and the environment that our people enjoy. It means that these places that are essential to tourism and commerce should be protected. They're all owned by Americans. They're all owned by everyone you see in this room. And that means they are essential to every person in this room and to the local businesses that benefit from them. We need to protect this water. And for that, NPCA is really in support of a full mineral withdrawal. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for allowing us to be here and for your hard work protecting our lands. I do want to ask, please, when you're making these decisions that impact not only the lands, but the people and everything that is sustained upon those lands, please make long-term decisions in consideration of the generations of the future. Short-term thinking is counterproductive to our families, children, and grandchildren. Please extend the withdrawal deadline to at least a minimum of 2060 or beyond. You base decisions according to population growth or lack of. Water is the criteria that is the main concern to be considered. I am a member of the Nye County Prickly Pears. We're an indivisible advocacy group, and we very much want to support what's right for our communities, which is the withdrawal and protection of ash meadows. Thank you.
Hi, Mason Bale for the record. Thank you to the BLM for both hosting this public meeting and for the opportunity to provide comment. I'm the executive director of Amargosa Conservancy. We're a long-standing partner, conservation organization, working alongside the communities of this river toward a sustainable future. And this action is very, very much a part of that sustainable future. I think as your presentation really shows, there are many, many different values and rights affected by this action. So our number one pitch to the BLM is to really consider the full scope of those values. That's not only the 13 plus protected species by the ESA that need to be considered, also the mandates for management from the Fish and Wildlife Service and National Park Service managing Ash Meadows and Death Valley National Park, the Federal Reserve water right of the Amargosa Wild and Scenic River in California, also all of the rights of private well owners here in Amargosa Valley, in Crystal, in Shoshone, and the sovereign tribal water right of the Timbisha-Shoshone in Death Valley National Park. The main thrust of this withdrawal is to protect groundwater for all of those rights and all of those different values. And so it's imperative the BLM use the best available science in really looking at this proposed withdrawal area. And we think the entire area is justified because groundwater is the lifeblood of every single living thing in this valley and downstream. So thank you to the BLM. We look forward to engaging in the process over the next 2 years.
I support the mineral withdrawal because I moved to Pahrump 8 years ago from back east. The climate and environmental change was shocking. The climate and environmental change was shocking to me, and I became deeply depressed. The desert was monotonous, the sun was unrelenting, the summer was unbearable. And then my wife took me to Ash Meadows for the first time, and I began to see the beauty of the Mojave. The flora and fauna here are designed to thrive in this harsh environment, and the Amargosa is the heart and lifeblood for us all. Water is life, and that's what makes it sacred. Kevin Wilson one of my favorite quotes by Kevin Wilson is, he was talking to NPR about the devil's hole pupfish, and he said, "I think society has a duty to protect the species that humankind has negatively impacted." And I think it's time we stop negatively impacting our environment that way. Thank you.
My name is Scott Williams. I also work for Amargosa Conservancy. I live in Tacopa along the Amargosa River, just over the California border, 50 miles south of Amargosa Valley. I support the BLM's proposed mineral withdrawal in Amargosa Valley as a necessary step towards preserving the delicate balance of groundwater in our watershed. Groundwater in Amargosa Valley flows from Ash Meadows downstream to Tacopa and sustains my community. Hydrologic studies conducted for the Amargosa Conservancy have used data and modeling to show the groundwater extraction from an open-pit lithium mine in Amargosa Valley would not only impact the water resources of this town and Ash Meadows, but it would reduce the flow of water downstream towards my home in Tacopa. Groundwater is under pressure in this valley. Even exploratory drilling would tap this pressurized groundwater and create an uncontrollable flow that would draw down the springs in Ash Meadows. We've seen this scenario play out in Tacopa before. The borehole spring in Tacopa was created by accident during an exploration drilling operation. This man-made spring drew down the water pressure in nearby wells and caused at least one natural spring in the Tacopa Hills to go dry. This push for protections is not about any one mine or any one mineral. It's about the fact that some places simply have too much to lose to leave open to new mining. The communities of this region will persist or perish based on our ability to use common sense when it comes to managing our most important resource, groundwater. This campaign to protect our groundwater has been driven by local rural Nevada citizens from the start, and I see it as a fight for individual freedom and self-determination, the freedom to live in this place that we love without worrying that our wells and springs will go dry. Everyone in this watershed is united around the shared goal of ensuring that the Amargosa River continues to flow so that our communities can continue to thrive. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having us here. And thank you for the town of Amargosa for also hosting me and my friends. We came over from Las Vegas, and I am representing the Red Rock Audubon Society tonight. This is the local chapter of a national organization, and we oversee Clark, Lincoln, and Nye counties. And of interest to us especially are our national wildlife refuges. We have a concept in Audubon called the important bird areas. And many of our important bird areas in the West happen to be national wildlife refuges. There's a reason for that, because national wildlife refuges in the West tend to have a lot of biodiversity and ecological value, especially to birds and all of the other organisms that live in these environments. So that's what brought me out here today. This is a crucial area for migratory birds, for a couple species, and not just our ESA species, the Yuma ridgeway's rail, the southwest willow flycatcher, yellow-billed cuckoo. It's all these other migratory birds that we have been monitoring for quite a while, working with other agencies. And of course, something that's a little troubling is, if this were to proceed forward, the NEPA process right now is also quite challenged, in that a lot of staff that would be doing the monitoring, that would be a part of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, for example, monitoring, is quite hindered with a lot of layoffs just in the last few days. So it makes that process a lot harder. So thank you for your time. Thank you for the consideration, and we support the withdrawal from the Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack Ham, Pahrump. Come down a little bit. How's that? I'm one of the existing mining claimants in the proposed withdrawal area, Township 18 South, Range 52 East, Sections 20 through 29, the Copper Giant ore body. I would be honored to relinquish my claims to further the protection of the Amargosa Desert. Whatever impact that has on me pales in comparison to the impact of allowing mining in the Amargosa. When the General Mining Act of 1872 was passed, it was a time where lone prospectors combed the desert with their donkeys and a pickaxe. It never anticipated and has never been modified to account for the destructive mining techniques used in our times. My wife and I have spent hundreds of miles on foot hiking through the Amargosa and the surrounding mountains, and the loss of this delicate place would be a terrible day. In my view, the protection of the Amargosa is not negotiable, and this withdrawal must be passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick, for you and your staff to be here. David Hall, 31 years here in Amargosa as a farmer, and retired for about the last 10. I just want to make a comment that I think you really need to look at the overall picture of the people in Amargosa. It's all about everyone here as well as Ash Meadows. Because right now we are really impacted by a lot of things that go on. A lot of our water comes off the test site. A lot of it comes through Beatty, our two sources. If you come through Beatty, you come through a bunch of mining operations. You come across about 100 acres or 500 acres where they have a hazardous waste storage. I think that in your overall plan, we are really negatively impacted in this community as residents because of all the things that are going on. Solar, any of this mining would really, really put a damper on this whole area, water-wise, health-wise, and I really would appreciate that you would just go ahead and proceed with this withdrawal. I think it would be best for this community, and it'll be a great for Ash Meadows as well, so thank you.
Hi, my name's Dawn. I'm a longtime resident here in Nye County and a local citizen here in the Amargosa Valley. I'd like to say thank you to the ladies and gentlemen, residents of Amargosa Valley, citizens of Nye County, for attending tonight's BLM meeting. I'd also like to thank the BLM for extending this courtesy to us. So, here we are once again coming together as a community to protect our rare valley from the enormous mining corporations who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on lobbyists in Washington, D.C. in hopes to gain access to our beautiful and unique valley that we call home. We all know the dangers that these mining operations and their companies bring to our valley. Here are some of the many. Loss of protected animal habitats, immense damage to native vegetation, permanent scarring of the landscape, severe environmental land degradation, long lingering poor air quality, and heavy dust control issues, human and livestock health issues, danger to our precious water table, critical ash meadow concerns, and a multitude of other issues that spin off as a direct result of mining activity. I could go on and on about the dangers that mining brings to our valley, and the environment, and to our community as a whole, but most of you already know this. So I'll keep this short. Many of these large corporations and foreign entities have their eyes on our basin for nefarious reasons. The future of our beautiful valley and our livelihoods, both now and for our next generation of family, are at stake. I urge you all to please stand up and have your voices heard today in support of this mineral withdrawal, because if you don't, your reality here will be this. And I have many photographs of mining in several areas. I urge you all to please support this mining withdrawal. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Colette Johnson, and I've lived in Amargosa Valley now for almost 25 years. And I love this place, as many people here do love this place, and we value it greatly. And I want to thank all of our local people who've come out, and all the organizations and nearby neighborhoods that have come out to support this. This has been a wonderful show of support. Thank you. And I just want to reiterate, the scare of losing our water, and also I know that lithium is the more immediate source of damage, but many other mining operations will possibly be, swarming our valley if we can. But the damage done even just by, disturbing lithium into our environment, the damage done to the human population by itself is a great scare and needs to be considered as well. So I am so happy that so many organizations are supporting this withdrawal. Thank you.
Thank you for hearing from us today. My name is Cameron Mayer. I live in Shoshone, California, neighboring Inyo County, and I'm representing Friends of the Amargosa Basin. Water that flows from this area along the Amargosa River, from Beatty to Ash Meadows, and across state lines, which water, of course, knows no boundaries and does not acknowledge, sustains the communities of Shoshone and Tacoma and species that call this area home. When I turn on the tap at home, Part of that comes from here. And while I can only speak from where I'm at, the broader American public deserves the opportunity to experience Ash Meadows for its many remarkable qualities, and community members here in Amargosa Valley closest to possible further harm deserve not to have to experience that harm. I and my organization are in full support of the proposed mineral withdrawal. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chris Dancy. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today to discuss protecting our vital ash meadows, or as some like to say, the Galapagos of the desert. Now, unfortunately, I don't have specific facts or figures explaining why I'm in support of the mineral withdrawal today, but I feel like I'm coming from a place of common sense. Mining is notorious for being a heavy water consumer, and not only during the construction period, but throughout the life of the project. Why should we allow industries like that here, which is also one of the driest places in the world? It just doesn't make sense to me. Thank you. Have a good day.
Hello, my name is Amina Anderson. I work for the Nature Conservancy, helping steward our Oasis Valley Preserves near Beatty, Nevada, where I also live. The Nature Conservancy, or TNC, is deeply invested in the conservation and protection of Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge. TNC helped to secure over 11,000 acres that eventually became a core part of the refuge when it was established in 1984. This was done through a collaboration between TNC, U.S. Bureau of Land Management, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. This was done to protect the many rare plants and animals found here. Ash Meadows is a unique ecological treasure, a recognized global biodiversity hotspot, and is home to the highest density of endemic species in the United States. In 2023 and 2024, TNC commissioned a series of studies from hydrology consultant Andy Zidon at RUE Incorporated to better understand how the groundwater resources could be impacted by proposed lithium exploration and mining. The first was an assessment of well logs and case studies from previous drilling activity that had occurred in the Amargosa watershed. The second study modeled potential groundwater withdrawals and hydrologic impacts from a proposed lithium extraction project. The third analysis examined the potential mineral commodities that would be affected by a mineral withdrawal for an area around the refuge. These studies informed the boundaries of the proposed mineral withdrawal area, which was created in consultation with the county government, local town boards, tribes, and organizations. We will include these studies as part of our written comments. Over the years, TNC has remained an advocate and supporter for efforts to protect the groundwater that feeds the refuge alongside other partners. Thank you guys for hosting this meeting.
Hello. First thing I'd like to say is thanks. I heard Carol made all the cakes and cookies, and they're great, so thank you. And I'm Pamela Quigley. I've lived here since 1989, and I'm a horticulturalist. And we all know how the groundwater will be impacted because a lot of places in this area, their wells are already point. And this will make it even worse. Plus the fact that it poisons the water. They have accidents with this stuff all the time. The other thing is the way they do it and lay it out and everything, it makes like a talcum powder that they scoop up that blows through the air. I won't be able to grow organic vegetables anymore. Good luck if I can even grow any vegetables anymore. This comes through the air like crazy. I mean, where we are, we get, and most of the valley does, get lots of silty sand from the dunes. What do you think this stuff will be like? We are often compared to Chicago as the windiest city. A lot of times it's not unheard of for us to have 70 miles an hour winds, quite often. And so this talc will blow all over the valley. I'm not going to mention, a lot of people mentioned a lot of other things we could talk about, but those have already been mentioned. So thanks for listening to me. Bye.
Thank you. I've been called worse. Bruce Jabbour, Nye County Commissioner. I suppose I'm a little late in the game. I should have asked, or Nick Pay should have asked if anybody here was able to take shorthand. But he's doing a good job. So Nick Pay, our BLM manager for the southern part of Nye County and into Clark County. We have worked with, I can't say it's always been a pleasure, but we at least sit down at the table and we work with you and the other managers. And I have to say that when we sat down at the board meeting in Ash Meadows, you were there. I was there, Amargosa, town board members were there, and we had almost every federal agency sitting at the table, and we also had Senator Cortez Masto there. And I asked the question, do you take a class? Is there a class that these federal agencies take how not to get along with each other? However, with all of the list that you've given us, I have to say, truly, I'm proud to be at the table with you. The commissioners have sat down with you, and you have engaged with all of us because we are residents of Nye County. You are residents of Nevada, and you are hearing our voices loud and clear. And I ask for the public comment that my words from outside and in here is that we help save, protect, preserve, and promote Ash Meadows and our water resource. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Bosta, and I'm a resident here in Amargosa Valley. Groundwater pumping is the life force in this town. Without the water, there's no life. And all water in this town is pumped from the ground. The thing that is important is about 1 mile to the east of Highway 373, there is a great flow basin boundary between the Amargosa River and the Spectra Mountain flow. The Amargosa River flow is a total different body of water that is on the east side of the Spectra floor. The Amargosa River flow does not feed Ash Meadows or Devil's Hole. Spectra Mountain feeds Devil's Hole and Ash Meadows, and that is possibility of water coming all the way off of the Mercury test site. We have wells at the boundary testing to make sure that the nuclear test site doesn't come through, and those water levels are at 3,000 feet. But what is important is that I believe that the Spectra Mountain water flow just north of Ash Meadows and Devil's Hole needs to be incorporated into the Devil's Hole Monument, which then would make it a national monument, and there would be no mining inside of that monument. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Elaine Vale. We live in, we live in Pahrump. Prior to moving to Pahrump, we worked in construction in the mining area. And when reading the information about how much water is used, they talk about acre feet, but the common person just doesn't realize this. But working up there, they've got canals coming out of those mines that run volumes and volumes of water. It's used to farm with in the summertime, and it goes back into the ground, not to the aquifer, but it's not totally wasted. But in the wintertime, it runs again of no use. So just a thought about how much water actually goes away. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Tristan Dunn. I've been a homeowner in Amargosa Valley since 2018. I just want to say thank you so much to the BLM for coming out and providing this opportunity for everyone to speak. And also fully support this withdrawal. Just want to make sure everyone's aware that your Nevada congressman just recently, as of February 14th, put forward a bill to make it easier for mining companies to cut the red tape, so they say. So please Google your Nevada congressman. And send them a letter. Never underestimate what the power of writing your congressman can do. If everybody in this room were to write their congressman, I promise you they would have to listen. Also, be aware that the people in front of you, they're wondering every day how long until they lose their jobs. They're getting emails, I don't know if you follow the news, but threatening their jobs weekly, sometimes daily. So please, while you're at it, express your support for people like these who could lose their job any day. Anyway, please write your congressman. It will make a difference. Thank you.
Turn the whole podium this time.
No, I truly want to express my gratitude to you guys. It's not often that I get to come up here and not get yelled at, so I appreciate that. I know there's going to be some hard decisions and hard things that have to go along, but I do appreciate, especially Commissioner Gabor, thank you for your comments. I truly do. I love that this is something that I get to work on. For those of you guys who don't know, I am a native Nevadan and have lived in Nevada my entire life. I grew up in a small town, much like Amargosa Valley, and grew up recreating on public lands. And that is what drove me to be a manager for the BLM, is that we have a hard job. Sometimes I have to make the hard decisions. Sometimes I have to make the decisions that nobody likes. And sometimes I get to help with better decisions. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to do this. And I truly do mean what we say. Send me your comments. We're going to put together a package that tells a story. And we will provide a recommendation to my leaders, and then we go from there. I'm super excited about this process. As has kind of already been alluded to, we don't know what politics is going to do, and my job is to keep it out of this. So let's tell a story. What does it have? What do we have out here? What do we need to tell? And we can make a recommendation from there. So we'll be around. I am actually going to be here for a little while longer, so if you guys have questions, come and talk to me. More than willing to answer questions. Didn't really have time to do question and answers up here, and usually those go bad on me, so it's better to just talk one-on-one. So please do come and talk. That's what we're here for. And submit your comments, especially those of you guys that said that you have data. Please send it to that email address or mail it to me at the office. We'll make sure that it gets in the right package, and we are really, truly keeping all of this information. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, turn this here.